So it's a lot of them that talked about you, not knowing that they was talking about an alpha male. They not knowing that they was talking about a lion that was laying in the dirt. That's all. He was gonna get back up. There's a lot of them talked about you and they didn't know who you was. They didn't know who you was. They talked about you, but they didn't know you was a lion laying down. When you was down, they thought you was like the dude they was dating. That's what they thought. When you was down, they thought you was like him. That's what they thought. That's what they thought. They thought you were just like him when you were down. They say, yeah. Not only that, they saying already, you ain't no better than the dude that I'm dating. Plus, it's 300 of us trying to keep you down. So I feel very confident in talking about you as bad as I possibly can, because there is no way in the world you are strong enough to get up under the pressure of 300 feet on your back. They thought they had their foot on a squirrel, man. They had their foot on a lion. So it's...
Let's get this straight now. I never fucked anybody over in my life. Didn't have it coming to me. You got that? All I have in this world is my balls and my word. And I don't break them for no one. Do you understand? If you want to go on with me, do say it. You don't, then you make a move.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die! And these Shield boys give them nothing, but take from them everything!
You see, old friend, I brought more soldiers than you did.
Greetings and salutations, everybody out there. I'm sorry I'm not on cam. I know that's like a thing we should do. My cam wouldn't work. It had to happen a half hour before the live stream, so I didn't have time. I was like fritzing out. And Ryan Roger Atty, let me tell you guys, he is like the nagging mom in your chat group, because he was like, "Where's the link, Steven? Where's the link?" Every week, and it's like, it's the accent. His accent intimidates me because it has that hint of evil. You know, like whenever we cast like evil people in our movies, it's always there was a British accent. So yeah, it scares me a little bit. How you doing, Ryan? Hi, Mom.
I'm doing very well, Stephen. It's always a pleasure to be on this show, and it was also a pleasure to host the pilot episode of reality-based Rogue Entertainment, which did rather well. Not as well as the pilot episode of reality-based Tangent Kings, but they both did very well, and they both had one thing in common. They were both shows that the main hosts couldn't make their own shows for. So I decided to just put reality-based in front of them and do it myself. Thankfully, they were both successful, but I ain't doing 3 shows a day every fucking Saturday.
No, you know, I apologize. I'm going to give you my number or something so we can text. Like, I was lost in vagina.
That sounds gay as fuck, man.
I didn't mean it like that, Brian.
Yeah, pretty gay.
Yeah, I was lost. I was lost in a very I was lost for a little bit, and I was productive this time, Ryan. I did not fall apart.
Good.
I got things done and paid bills and worked and did all the stuff I had to do, and then in between, I was in vagina, and I feel good about myself knowing that I can maintain both. Hi, Tony. How are you?
Well, I feel like I've swallowed a cheese grater. I've wore my voice out doing a show the last 7 days, sometimes 2 shows in the same day. Stark Week. Well, our goal was 1,100 subscribers. We got 1072, and I consider that a victory. So, just winding down, as it were. I got one more show in Stark Week, and that's my Fallout show tomorrow, and then I'm going to take a small little staycation. So
that's good. That's good, because you are really, you know what? You're very low vibe today. You're the one that is usually fighting with Ryan.
I don't do 8 shows a week. I just don't do it anymore. It's fine.
Well, no, it's all good, Tony. We can't sustain being a YouTube whore for so long. It wears on you, and I understand that. But I was stopping by. I've managed to make a couple of your shows, and I'm loving the energy in the chat, the momentum that you have with your channel, and your panels, man. Your panels are really entertaining, good people. So it's been fun to see the evolution of your channel as you've been growing.
We trying on a little corner of the internet. We trying.
Yeah, dig that. Yeah, man. I see. I oftentimes see Alternative Jill, in your chat. And guys, if you are into Star Trek breakdowns, if you guys are Trekkies out there and you love Star Trek, please check out Alternative Jill. She is incredible. She's a lover of Trek and probably one of the best. I think one of the best shows out there covering the modern mythologies that we love from the past. So please check that out. And up next, hey Deej, I thought you weren't going to make it. I thought your back holes were hurting.
He had to get himself some fire.
Well, if I'd gotten the link more than just 5 minutes ahead of show, I would have known that my microphone was not working, and I ended up having to reboot everything, and then X takes forever to load up on this damn thing. So
Well, Deej, we had similar problems. I was having equipment problems myself. I was
listening in the chat while I've been waiting. You wrong kind of equipment you were having problems with.
Oh, you old men with your technical problems. My goodness.
First off, Deej, I did not push rope. All right. There was no rope pushing going on. My equipment was fine. Okay. And secondly, it was my camera had an issue. That's what my issue was.
Well,
admit it, you're camera shy. It's fine.
If you put these things out maybe 15 minutes ahead, we could all have these issues
I
worked
tried.
out before.
No, he's juggling a new woman now, Deej, so expect a disaster.
This is why this is why I'm supposed to be the leader of the Rogues, because at least I know when to put things out on time.
That's the fireball talking.
Well, no, I haven't had any fireball because I'm on fucking pain meds and muscle relaxers.
Well,
no
Deej,
wonder
if
he's so crazy. He's not
if
drunk.
you can make every Saturday, we can host reality-based Rogue Entertainment together, and Walton can sort out all of his females. Tony is also welcome, and his many personalities.
Well, that's a big van. Are you sure? Because I got a big Chrysler. It's as big as a whale.
Well, I need a spot to fill. It's either you or Dobby the cancer patient.
Tony, do you have candy for that van?
We're gonna go to the Love Shack with that van, but I got your reference.
Okay.
Can we talk about
Give him the rim shot? Jeez, God. Even if it is a pity rim shot, come on.
Can we talk about dead people and Haitians? Hopefully they're the same.
We are.
And you shouldn't say rim shot around Walton because he likes those rims.
I hear from a very reliable source that he's kind of a pagan man. Know what I mean?
I am a pagan man, but not in that way. It's not pegging. It's a pagan man. I don't understand.
Did he just say he's pegging men?
No.
It'll never get old.
I don't know what's worse, the fact that Ryan is laughing at my reference or the fact that I'm doing a Beetlejuice bit while doing so.
Oh, dear.
Listen, first off, I'd like to say that I didn't know that the narcissist getting pegged and dildos up their ass thing was so popular. I have over 500,000 views on TikTok on like one video alone talking about male narcs putting things up their ass. And I did not begin doing social media commentary and opinions and shit to talk about men putting things in their ass. This is not where I wanted to be. This is not the direction I wanted to go in. But I feel like I'm being
hey, listen, we all have our own fantastic voyage. Yours just happens to be in the back door.
It's not my back door. I don't put things in my ass.
It's not his back door. It's someone else's back door. Okay.
He's a pitcher, not a catcher.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I don't understand what you all just said, and I don't agree. I don't agree because I don't understand. I'm gonna hail the chat.
But it's TikTok though, so it might as well be 500,000 grams of rice.
And I will eat that rice. I will put butter on that shit, and I will eat it.
Oh, you butter it up and eat it, right? Slather it.
Not the rice, not the ass. This is not.
You know, you need a little therapy. That's what you need. Your therapy.
I've been to therapy. I've gone through the therapy. All right, I am healed now. All right, I am totally sane. I am good. Okay? I know I lost my shit a little bit, but I'm good now. Right? I'm okay.
At least back then you were consistent.
Dude, we love you.
I was consistently nuts. All right, that's the hey Papa Cotton, hail, brother, good to see you. What's up, memes of destruction, guys? If you are into an 8-foot fucking fit male who has a brain, there's memes. Apparently check him out. We issue streaming on Twitter. What the fuck? Get away. Just remove. Go. I don't understand what's going on right now. I got it. Okay. CJ, what's up, CJ? How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Anybody else in the chat up here? What's up? Don't be a spanner. Hey, how you doing? Good to meet you. How you doing? It's good to see you.
Don't be a spanner.
What's up, Eastland? Dragonstorm showing up. Good to see you, along with Joker Loves You. What's up, Hale? Ruben, what's up, man? Lost in Vagina. Yes. Listen, you have to understand.
I lost my car keys in one once. It was pretty embarrassing.
I gotta say though, in all seriousness, imagine Rogue Entertainment's version of Crisis on Infinite Earth. In Steven's case, it's Crisis of Infinite Vagina, because every time he finds a new female, he then enters a crisis phase, then goes back to where he started from one disaster after another. Which is why I will say again to Steven, not having sexual relations with anyone might just help you recover from all the trauma that you try to fill through your sexual.
I didn't have sexual relations for a while, Ryan. Okay.
Now it sounds
didn't inhale, but we'll believe
now it sounds like Bill Clinton. I didn't have sexual relations with.
Remember,
didn't inhale while we're at it.
This is why he doesn't have me on Dragonstorm, because I can actually provide some valuable advice. I mean, as a result of you entering a relationship, a toxic relationship with a demented, second-rate Aryan bitch, because you entered that relationship, it led to you being hooked on this disgusting creature, causing you to spiral while a parasite was on your back. Therefore, to ensure that never happens again, you should never engage in sexual relations with anything.
No, I'm putting it somewhere, Ryan. Okay, I'm putting it somewhere. And let me tell you, I had to get over the disgust of my own penis not wanting to look at me. All right? And that's what I had to. I had to work through that.
Have you tried putting it in your pants? Ask a corporate.
So yeah, Ruben, yes, I was. Yeah, I took a sexcation for for a couple of weeks, and I'm good, man. My heads are on, still on, and I'm good. It's worked out. What's up, Dak? Good to see you. Just stopped by to say hi. Awesome. Well, thank you for stopping through and hitting that like button. What's up, Tina? I think Tina's at work. She can't join us, but thank you for stopping by. Great to see you, sweetheart. There be Rogues here. And so we are going to talk. No, we're not clipping anything. That's not what we do. I am not a joke. I'm not a joke. Okay? I am a survivor of abuse. Right? Yeah. It's not a fucking thing. Okay? So, no.
Let it all out. Let it all out.
Yeah. For a second there, when he started to do that fake crime bit, I thought he was going to yell that I'm not a man. I just had that flash in my head.
Stephen, it's been 2.5 fucking years. Can we please move on?
Moved on. I coach people now. I actually coach people. From my fallout and my implosion caused me to evolve, Ryan, into a better version of myself.
That's so you can just find more women.
Version of myself. And now I talk people down from that ledge. What's up, Squeaky? Good to see you. So we are going to talk about Haitians eating cats, or allegedly eating cats. But before we do that, we're going to have some Fifi time and talk about the loss of JamesEarlJones, who is probably one of my favorite actors in every film that he's ever been in. And of course, he was the voice of Darth Vader. One of my favorite characters as a kid. But like Conan, his part in Conan is epic. Coming to America, everything that I've seen him in, The Lion King, everything that I've heard his voice or seen him in has always been a presence. He's one of those actors that just had that voice, had that energy and that presence that was a joy to watch, no matter what he was doing. And it's we lose legends all the time. Unfortunately, it's and I don't want to put it like this. It's not like Mark Hamill. Like if he went, we'd be like, God, maybe you should have went a little sooner. Could have saved us as hero worship. But
I mean, that is a great example, though, Stephen, between those two particular actors who were in Star Wars. I mean, James Earl Jones rarely gave interviews. They were the exception rather than the rule. And by the time all this madness in popular culture really set in, Jones was really retired as an actor. So we didn't really get his political perspective all that much, unlike Mark Hamill, who was nearing the twilight of his career. So in an effort to revitalize it, he jumped on that bandwagon, and it's really damaged his legacy as an actor as a result.
It really it's one of the reasons that social media has been a detriment. I mean, in many different ways to our society. Again, like the internet, a tool that could have been used for us to better mankind, and has instead become something that spreads disinformation, mental illness.
The same kind of technology that sent us to the moon has enabled women, attractive women, to fart in jars and sell it to people.
Is that a thing now?
It's
sad, but it's funny because it's sad, and it's sad because it's true.
Yeah, and the truth is reality based.
That's like worse than the bathwater thing. That's pretty horrible. I did want to make this a positive segment, but since we're on this,
how can someone dying be a positive segment?
Well, it's like no, but like adoring
because they get to hang out with me. Come on.
Well, one good thing about this whole situation is the fact that James Earl Jones made it to 93 years old, which is quite a milestone for someone to achieve, to get to their 90s. And to get to three figures is also extremely rare. And it just goes to show that you can be a diabetic for nearly 30 years and still leave a life of old age.
Absolutely. And just going back real quick to the comparison, with Mark that we were talking about. Yeah, it's like Mark Hamill was a hero to like so many people in our generation, Gen Xers, millennials, I'd say. And then he started spurging out on social media with TDS, Orange Man Bad, and all the other batshit idealism that comes from millionaires, privileged millionaires, pointing the finger at the rest of the country and saying, you're privileged and you're racist and you're sexist, and there's like spurging. And if he did, I never really saw James Earl Jones doing any of it.
No.
And it's that type of rhetoric. Like, you could be political without being an obstinate prick or being, smearing other people. But really, when it comes to entertainers, that's something that is dangerous, I think, for them to get out on a ledge on, to get on a soapbox and start being super politicized in their comments, because it doesn't look virtuous at all. And you have to word yourself very well. I deal with this all the time when people look at some of my videos on whatever platform. They see a snippet, and this is for advice for any of you YouTubers out there or anybody watching who watches YouTubers. You see a snippet on social media of somebody, just a 60-second, 2-minute, 3-minute snippet, and you will then begin to build a framework based on your own bias and projection as to who that person is. And there's plenty of times where I talk about a specific topic, and then they say, well, there's also this. You're wrong because there's this and this and this. I was like, well, apparently you don't watch the rest of my stuff because I've talked about all of that shit.
Narrative control. We see it all the time, whether it's in the political domain, the pop culture domain, and it's good that we see it in narcissistic awareness communities, because it seems that all of our opposition, no matter the communities they are based in, utilize the same tactics.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, going into that realm, absolutely, because the nature of anyone who has narcissism or is narcissistic is deflection of accountability, projection of their own sickness while putting on a fake face, gaslighting people. It's about deception. And Grant had come through with a wonderful video. Grant had shared me. So Grant is a New Zealander, I believe, right? And so
he's based in Australia.
He's right. Well, he can't if he's a New Zealander, you can't say Australia. It's like they're different about it. It'd be like me calling you English and you're Welsh. You get upset. But for a long time when I was deregulated and I was still healing from trauma, I would see certain comments from people that may have been trying to help me, but I would interpret them in a different way because I was hyper defensive. And Grant was like one of those people. He was he's always been good to me. But I would interpret some of the things he said in the past in a certain way. And then he shared this video that was on point yesterday with me. And instead of looking at it through like the frame I would have 2 years ago, I looked at it from now, and I'm like, the information is solid, and it was a really cool interaction. It actually caused me to make a good video today from that inspiration of sometimes you need tough love, because you can get caught, if you are in any abusive situation, you can get caught up in a living victimhood narrative. And that's why you see the blue-haired weirdos, and you see people at Kotaku, and these Hollywood actors, these privileged millionaires, screaming about their victim. I'm being oppressed. Like that chick from fucking The Acolyte, with Seberg, whatever her Amanda Stenberg, half black, half Jewish, the only black woman with no tits and no ass. Right, and so she's out there, and she's like, I'm black, so therefore I'm oppressed. Systemic isms and systemic this and systemic that. Meanwhile, she's like living in a fucking mansion, making millions of dollars, producing garbage content with Disney Lucasfilm.
Man, I just thought of this chant to summon her. You ready? Brain like a lizard, flat as a board. Brain like a lizard, flat as a board. Brain like a lizard, flat as a board. Wait, what?
But like, so because of the indoctrination and the living victimhood narrative that for whatever she grew up with, whatever damages, let's face it, it's Hollywood. They're out there doing things to kids and people that are horrible. Whatever damages are unresolved in her, instead of accepting responsibility for herself and being able to see clearly, control her emotions, understand herself and her environment, she has decided that even though she's a privileged millionaire, she is oppressed Black woman who is dealing with the patriarchy and dealing with the systemic issues of racism. And it's a spurging out of damages. It's a projection. It's an intentional delusion that she is feeding herself in order to avoid the truths of the world, of herself, and her place in the world. And so you see that all the time from like literally the fucking flying monkeys. In NPD, narcissistic abuse recovery terms, the flying monkeys, which are the gaming journalists and the garbage tier media who defends toxic personalities, who defends and reinforces false narratives that are projected by psychos and narcissists and egotistical people that that are in positions of power, to feed off of them in a negative loop of reinforced negativity and fuel. And it's seeing that and understanding that has helped me greatly, actually, looking back at what I used to do and what I, still to a point do now. But it all comes from this narcissistic behavior that social media fuels. Because another thing it's dependent upon is grandiosity, the idea that you're the center of the universe and you're the center of everything. Everything should bow to you. We've seen this from some creators who attack other successful people using their cohorts, their chats, and their chat groups to try to assassinate the character of others because they're more successul. But
it's been 4 years and it still hasn't been delivered.
Yeah, all right. All right. It's right. Yeah, you got me. So this happens everywhere, and social media has caused this rise. And going back to what we were originally talking about,
what were we talking about? It's been such a long time since.
I'm sorry. I'm spurting. I'm sorry.
How a person's legacy can thrive in an age of wokeness if they just stay the hell away from it. And that's exactly what James Earl Jones did. And that's why his legacy as an actor will live on for generations to come.
But
that will not.
You got to add the but in there, because he did do the controversial thing and give permission to use AI to recreate his Darth Vader voice anytime Disney wants to.
He did? Okay.
Yes, he did.
Unlike Mark Hamill, whose legacy will not last nearly as long because of his interactions with political cohorts. Of course, deals are done with mega corporations in terms of voice licensing. You're going to see that a lot more in this day and age. Likewise with licensing faces and characters in which actors and actresses are involved with, because we are getting to a point technologically where I can be replicated, Deej can be replicated, Walton can be replicated, and if Tony ever shows his face and voice, he can be replicated as well. So they become commodities to be bought and sold. So I can't wait for a woke version of me, woke version of Walton, woke version of Deej, woke version of Tony, and how we are literally going to fight a sickeningly real Ghost in the Shell version of ourselves.
One of the reasons why I have so many voices is I despise my own.
Oh, good to know you hate yourself.
But it's sexy, Tony. And I'll bet you look good, too.
I'd rather see Mercury and Mars go on a collision course over the planet before that ever became a reality. But thank you for the compliment.
I love you, brother. I am giving you an astral reach around right now. I am giving you back kisses and a little bit of nipple.
And remember, and focus in that. He said reach around because he is in the giving position.
Yes, I am well aware. I'm well aware. My inner Arlie Ermy thanks you, but you will not laugh and you will not cry. I own your name. I own your ass.
Well, hopefully I can reach 93 years old. Hopefully everyone on this panel can reach 93 years old.
I'm not making 93. There ain't no way.
Why not?
I'll be lucky to make 63. What the hell are you talking about?
Look, James Earl Jones had diabetes since 1996.
Yep.
Right.
I've had
And he did it.
diabetes. I've had heart attacks. I've had multiple things, and
Damn,
hell,
you're
I was
really living the American dream.
I was
aren't you?
food poisoned last week.
But you
Hence why I
also,
was-
grew an extra back hole.
Not to get too off
no.
the beaten path, even though I'm well known for that.
Mm.
One of the reasons why these all-star talents and creators like, Stan Lee, James Earl Jones, why William Shatner is still alive is because they are genuinely always active. Not always active physically, but always active in the headspace. They're always creating. They're always using their minds. They are making the most out of the time that they have. And
Yes.
I feel that as long as you remain active with yourself, with your creativity, with your ability to think, learn, and do,
Mm-hmm.
it does genuinely lengthen your life.
Yeah, that and being a good person and living
That and
positively.
preparing for World War III. This book was actually made in, I think, 1983, 1984. Let me just check. Yeah, because this is a very important book, folks, especially because World War III is going to start soon. 1985. Oh, that's good. Only off by
I have my place secured at Vault Tech. I'm going to be okay.
Oh, so you got the notice, right? We had to move.
I
you
got the
from one of-
notice.
We moved you from a control vault. Is that okay?
Yeah, I didn't want to go to the control vault because those things are
No,
freaky.
no. The vault that we have issued for you is a vault where all of the whiskey that is available is actually Tennessee Red Jack Daniels and no Fireball.
I can handle
We
it.
want to have the social experiment where you don't have your Fireball. Is that okay?
Great
That's
statement here by Papa Cotton, now known as Cotton Ministries. Good to know that you're spreading the word of the cotton and getting those cotton balls out of people's ears. Yes, I know the tiny hats control everything. They're importing billions of people to destroy us, and those people are just cannon fodder. Once we're all gone, those hordes will be destroyed through Operation Samson, nuking the world and leaving Israel intact. Yes, we all know the truth, Cotton Ministries, but talk about that in a serious way and you will be nuked from planet Earth. I can get away with it because no one takes me seriously. Isn't that right, Stephen, Deej, and Tony?
I take you seriously in a humorous manner.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you clip this out of context, I'll just say it's a deep fake, and in 20 years, no one will tell the difference.
It's actually it's actually woke, Ryan. It's already begun. That's not him. That's a bot.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, like, I know where Pop is coming from here, and you're right. It is a good statement. And the current state of entertainment industry is just a symptom of a much larger problem. Focusing on it is a distraction and a failure to see reality. I don't think that it is, and this is where I disagree. In the avenues in which we fight against those who are trying to disturb us, trying to create an illusion, separate us, segregate us, make us fight with one another. One of the tools that are being employed is entertainments. They are using these as platforms to create division. So someone fighting in that vein is fighting the good fight. Focusing on that is pointing that out, that ridiculousness out, because what I have learned through my own journey and self-discovery and also helping others is that sometimes you have all the answers inside of you, but you doubt yourself or you just don't see it. You need somebody from the outside to show you. And that has to be done in one of many, it depends on you. It has to be done in different ways. So someone who's hyper-focused, a lot of their life is involved in entertainments and escapism. They have been saturated by it. If you begin pointing out the changes in our entertainments, the messaging, and why they are being done, then you will reach that person to seeing the larger picture as to what is going on in reality, and from the political verse and those that are the top 13, the Illuminati, those who are running everything. And much in the same way that, like, I look at what I do now over on Dragonstorm I'm still fighting the same fight. I'm still on that battlefield with you guys. But I am helping on an individual basis people heal from narcissistic or abusive relationships dealing with cluster B personalities, so that when they encounter them again, like even as something like seeing a politician in a debate and going, they're bullshitting, that's gaslighting, that's projection, and they'll understand and be able to understand the wider scope of what's going on. So I don't think it's like people are wasting their time, and by focusing on that, that distraction and pointing it out for the illusion, the intentional, malicious delusion that is being pressed against people as they're being gaslit and misinformed. I don't think that's an issue. But I mean, that's just how I look at it.
Aren't you afraid, though, Walton, that you might be unburdened by what has been?
Being unburdened means
means it's a Kamala Harris word or statement.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, oh my God.
I was expecting a donkey noise. I really was.
Yeah, it's kind of like the relevance of time and the passage of time.
We could do what the Haitians have done to animals. We can just eat them. We can eat our opponents. Just eat them. Find them and eat them.
That does remind me of one of my favorite clips that Lure of Omicron Persei 8 ever mentioned was...
My goodness.
This show is confusing. Why doesn't Ross, the largest friend, simply eat the other 5?
Why does Scott look like Dick Cheney? That's what scares me.
Scott goes through a lot, all right? First off, he had his balls removed a few years ago so he could stop having kids. And that's affected him. Yeah. He doesn't come like the rest of us men now. And it's kind of worked him over, and so, and he's a good man. He works a hard job.
Don't sterilize yourselves. No, I'm fucking serious. Don't sterilize yourselves. What the
Or Jesus, at least until a Democrat convention's in town when you can get it for free.
Jeez.
Listen, though, Brian, I've told this story before for you, so I apologize to anybody who's heard it. But in the weeks leading up to Scott getting that operation, his vasectomy, this is back in like the heat of the Rogue from like 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. He told me, and he said, "Don't say anything," and I didn't. And then he eventually, because he couldn't help. It was something he needed to laugh at himself. Like that's one of the many reasons why Scott and I are friends, is because we can laugh at ourselves. And so we started in the chats, like in the chat groups, in the Rogue chat group, like all of us were giving him shit. Like, how many days till your balls get cut off? What's going to happen? Like, and we just like kept harassing him to the point where I guess he kept like trucking his wife. Because he was like, I am a man, and then got her pregnant again, which is why he was getting the vasectomy in the first place, was so he wouldn't get her pregnant again. And
why is a pregnancy a bad thing?
Because
it should be a joyous celebration. Yeah, 2. That's good. The more, the merrier.
For some situations, women get to a certain age or have conditions that a pregnancy can endanger their life or the life of a potential pregnancy. So those situations exist.
I've got the solution to that. Don't want a gut? Take it in the butt.
I don't know. I don't know if Scott likes it in the pooper.
I even made Ryan facepalm that one.
That was as far as throwbacks go, man. Yeah.
Oh dear.
What is up, Lord Thought? Good to see you, brother. And drop a Vic in your honor as well. And what's up, Adventures with Beth? How you doing, my toxic boo? Good to see you.
Hey, anyway, my day is complete now. I made Ryan facepalm. That's all I needed.
Usually I'm the one who makes people facepalm, but I'm not pro-sterilization, folks. That is some Nazi-level shit. Do not sterilize yourselves.
So my friend who sterilized himself, Scott, Sporking News Podcast, he's been growing on different platforms, including TikTok. Guys, please give him a follow. I just want to play this for you. This is the content he's been doing over on TikTok right now, which has been great. And it's been a joy to watch.
You simple-minded liberal Democrats. Man, you guys are being made fools. So a lifetime ago, 20-some-odd years, I considered myself a liberal Democrat. I was a registered Democrat back then, before Obama changed. Not because he's black, because he sucked. And back in that day, when the Democratic Party actually, I don't know, was for peace and unity and equality, not equity, there was one guy at the top of the list that was the worst of the worst. And his name, Dick Cheney. Well, guess what? Dick Cheney and his family came out in support of Kamala Harris. And what did she do? She said she was honored. You know why? Because they're all neocons. They're all warmongers. They do not want peace. They are a uniparty. And we need to stop that. And Trump's the only thing right now.
So true. And I was talking to somebody else earlier about this who had a Harris person come to their house and talk. Listen, guys, first off, no judgment. Vote how you want to vote. These are just my opinions. But had a Harris supporter come to their house and convince them to vote for Harris. And I was just like, I was triggered a little bit because I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I'm not voting for Trump because I love the guy. That's not it. I support Trump because he's outside of the system. And I look back at 2016 and how the Matrix glitched. And then I looked at him fighting the FBI and fighting literally the House, the Senate, people in his own cabinet that he kept over from previous administrations because he believed the best people for the best job and didn't realize the level of narcissism and psychopathy that goes on in our government. And he had to fight all these things. They created there was an epidemic of sorts that may have been manufactured with a poison that was given to people. So they could hide possibly, just stealing an election and all of the things that have happened since then. I look at that. I look at the facts of the matter, what went down in the world during that time. And I know that he is on the outside of the neocons. He is on the outside of the political establishment that has been continually effing us over, stealing our civil liberties and destroying our country and our world for generations. And so that's why he gets attacked and vilified and smear campaigned and gaslit and all the shit that happens. And, it's like, I can't, for me, it's just like, I'm looking at the world. I'm looking at reality from my perspective and judging things on what has happened. And I don't see a positive outcome coming from like a Harris administration. I'd rather see the guy who's the outsider. I'd rather see the rebel.
You're going to get with Camel Toe Harris, folks. You're going to get 4 more years of a Biden-esque administration. You're going to get more wars. You're going to get higher taxes. You're going to get more regulations. And the wars won't be against the likes of Iraq or Afghanistan. They will be the likes of Ukraine and Russia. And we're not talking about a second-rate power here, folks. We are talking about a power that is able and willing to sacrifice hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives to ensure a victory. If they could do it in World War II, they're certainly willing to do it now. And we in the West aren't able or willing to commit those types of bodies. I mean, Saddam Hussein made the same argument. If he could have held out during the first Gulf War and killed tens of thousands of UN troops, allied troops, they would have sued for peace. But thankfully, his technology was so antiquated that didn't happen. Not so with the Russians. Although their technology is not on par with ours in the West, they have the manpower, which is what we really lack in the West, mainly because of the fact that no one sane anyway, is willing to risk their lives for a system that is replacing their people with fuckers who are eating their pets.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, Putin has a wild card up his sleeve, and he is nuts enough to use the damn thing. Nukes.
He's an old man. Yeah, I know he doesn't look it, but that man is in his early 70s. I know he doesn't look it, doesn't sound it either. He's not falling. He's not falling down any stairs like a certain American president. And there's only a 6 or 7 year difference around that figure. But the point is, folks, what better way to sabotage an election than through a pandemic? And what better way to stop an election than a full-scale war against a nuclear power?
Yeah, absolutely. And before we move on to that next topic, I just want to shout out a few people in the chat. Brightest Days out there, guys. Please take a look at Brightest Day. He does audiobooks. He's a talented cosplayer. Wonderful fan. Been in this YouTube sphere for such a long time. and just one of the best people out there. Really appreciate him. Also, earlier I gave a shout out to Jill. Jill does Trek streams, man. And like I said, you guys are Trekkies out there. Please check her out. Another person's been doing this for a while. One of the most beautiful bright lights we have in this community. So please check her out if you are a Trek fan. Take a look at her channel, and somebody can share a link out for them. I greatly appreciate it. And also, of course, shout out Memes of Destruction. Memes is an intellectual that will melt your brain. And whenever I'm watching his streams, I'm like doing mental gymnastics trying to catch up. So thank you, Memes, for all that. Greatly appreciate you, my brother. So yeah, so there's this thing going on. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I already kept my cat as an indoor pet, thankfully. Good for you, Jill. I hope you're not in Ohio, honey. I saw on Facebook recently there was this post that people like my stepmother and a couple other people, they're left, and they posted like marked my pet safe as today, and I'm dying looking at this, and I did a post about it, and they liked it. I was a neutral post because I knew how they would see it. They would see it like, oh, he agrees, it's so ridiculous. But I'm actually laughing I'm laughing with and at you, because it's like you're so indoctrinated. As soon as you see Orange Man bad, then you go with the NPCs. He must be lying. There is no truth to this. This is a smear campaign. And I'm just like, that's
you
what
sound like a conehead when you do that.
it's like the NPC meme is real. That's why they shot it down so much, back in the day.
I'm writing down the timestamps, Stephen. I just wanted to know how to spell foreign, but foreign filth eating cats and dogs in the USA as Springfield, Ohio is in danger.
Yeah, so I saw this this video on TikTok, and that's not the place where I talk about these types of topics. So I wanted to come here and show you guys, and we're going to break it down. It's quite long, but it's a pretty good breakdown of what citizens in Springfield, Ohio are saying to their community leaders. So let's check this out. We will, if anybody needs me to stop or interrupt it, just let me know and I'll stop.
Today we're going to be talking about Springfield, Ohio, and you might not understand why, but you will in just a moment. I don't think a lot of you are going to believe the words that are about to come out of my mouth, but Springfield, Ohio is being overrun by Haitian migrants. Now, what are these migrants doing? They are going to parks, grabbing ducks, cutting their heads off and eating them. They are killing people's pets and don't know how to drive, so they are crashing cars all over the place. They are utilizing the city's resources, and all of this is being given a big thumbs up by our current administration, and nobody's doing anything to stop it. When I say that illegal immigration could quite literally ruin the West, this is what I'm talking about. Let's talk about it more.
And one thing I want to say is that I have no problem with immigration, period. Like if you want to immigrate to someplace else, do it the right way. And also understand you're coming to another person's country. If I decide to move to Germany and become a German citizen, I'm going to learn German and I'm going to adapt to their culture without robbing me of my identity. And I think that's just something I think that's just something a decent person would do. I don't know am I far off within that thinking, right?
Well, Stephen, you're a civilized human being who's capable of reading, writing, counting, thinking, driving, and sustaining yourself within, a civilized society. These people are not. They can't read. They can't write. They certainly can't work. Otherwise, they'd have the funds to go to a grocery store, or at least the sense, like other minorities, to rob a grocery store. But no, they just chop up people's pets or animals on the street and eat them. You're dealing with an uncivilized horde imported from a shithole nation, a failed state right on America's doorstep. Of course you're going to get consequences like this. This is the third world meeting the first world in real time. And if you import it, you become it. So expect more of it if you get a camel toe administration, folks.
Hey, was that a shot at me? Because I can only count to 4. I can only count to 4.
But it's not just happening though in Ohio. I also heard reports this is also happening in the state of Texas. Wherever these uncivilized savages go, they bring their way of life with them. You look at Haiti, it is a failed state. People are struggling to survive, despite the fact that they have great soil, that they do have reasonable natural resources. They have the means to be prosperous, but they don't have the will because they don't have the necessary skills.
I don't think it comes down to will, brother. I think actually it comes down to the leadership of Haiti and how they have abused people. They've treated them like they're plebs. They treat them like they're serfs, you know? And
yeah,
that
second-rate citizenry. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
the reason why they have no skills is because they're not investing in them to acquire any. They want to
Europe had its fair share of tyrants, and I'm sorry to say, folks, the United States have had its fair share of tyrants, from Andrew Jackson to Abraham Lincoln to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And that nation, despite all the authoritarian measures of some presidents, has thrived because it's the best of all of, I dare say, all of Europe's peoples fleeing from greater tyrannies in Europe to the United States. I know Haiti has had really bad governance, especially when Stephen and Deej were very young. But even in today's day and age, as I kill a spider, little twat, even in today's day and age, with all the finances and all the support going into Haiti, they haven't improved. I mean, their standard of living is actually worse today than it was 70, 80 years ago.
So I have to, and there is a reason for that, and that is helping some. It goes back to like that biblical reference of, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And it's one of the reasons why the organization that Drunk 3PO worked with for a long time, Movio.org, which is actually based out of Media, Pennsylvania, what he does in his group is they not only go to places, to third world countries or areas and build things, but they teach them skills. They give them the skills to prosper themselves. So then at that point, it is their choice whether or not they want to succeed. And what we've seen in Haiti is just like, it's the same thing as almost every other third world country, or countries that were second to becoming first, like Brazil, where we have seen, CIA psyops in South America and Central America. They go in, they destabilize this country. Then I think that Haiti is like one of these proxy places that where they go in and we're helping them, we're helping to clean up, we're helping do these things, but the government, the leadership is not leading by example to change the culture.
Well, I will say, Stephen, that there was a period in which Haiti was a peaceful and a relatively prosperous nation, and that was when. And that was when it was under American occupation, which started in 1911 and I think ended sometime in the 1930s because it was considered a strategic position right on America's doorstep. And you could say it was an early 20th century example of Afghanistan. The only difference being there wasn't really much of an insurgency trying to get rid of them because the native population couldn't even organize themselves to form said resistance. And when Haiti ceased to be useful for the U.S., they decided to pull out. And that 20-odd year period, I think, was the most peaceful and prosperous in Haiti's history, when they were commanded by another, not themselves.
Well, I mean, but that also leads into, okay, sometimes, like I was saying earlier, sometimes you need someone to lead by example or to open your mind to other possibilities. I think that the reference to Afghanistan is perfect, right? Because you look at Afghanistan in like the 70s, and the Russians, it was a first world country, and the Russians came in and destabilized them, and the Americans came in and supported the revolutionists or the people who were the freedom fighters, and then we abandoned them, and it turned into what it turned into today, and that is where you look at when you said like pulling out of Haiti. When we pulled out of Haiti, how did we do that? Did we leave them with the infrastructure? Did we leave them with trained leadership? Did we leave them with a culture? And I think the answer would be no, because it's the same thing that happened in Afghanistan. As soon as we pulled out, what happened? Who rushed back into power? The Taliban came right in, just started burning down all the schools for girls, started just doing the same thing that they were doing before because the culture had not changed. And a lot of that has to do with self-responsibility and as far as the individuals in that civilization or in that country. that culture. But when you look at Haiti at this point with what the Haitians have been through, and you pull them into a civilized first world country without any kind of, I don't know, like teaching them the laws, the regulations. This is one of the problems that I see Republicans and Democrats have. Democrats being more so in our current age, where they're just opening these borders and throwing these people in from other cultures who have different standards, ways of living into our first world nation, and then just leave them there. Like, okay, guys, don't be bigots, accept it. Don't be a bigot. Don't be a bigot. This person's walking out of your park with a freaking, with a cut off goose head, duck, with the head cut off.
Of course, it's deliberate. You import these people, these savages. They cause chaos, and the chaos justifies a tyrannical order. And then once these savages cease to be useful for our establishment, they're either removed or culled, one of the two. And in the case of the United States, it's very interesting to see, because Haiti is not far from the U.S., and Haiti is part of an island which does include the Dominican Republic, which is a majority Latino population. Yes, they have their own problems and their own severe poverty, but the situation's getting so bad in Haiti that the Dominicans are considering building a wall, a massive wall, to separate the island between themselves and the Haitians, because they're sick and tired of Haitians, who are a mix of French and African, coming over to the other side of the island and causing chaos. And the Dominicans, which are Spanish, so they are European people, they are what we would consider to be second world, like most of the Caribbean, and from Mexico down to Argentina. But they are able and willing to be civilized human beings who can operate in civilization, who can work, who can engage in trade, and not kill animals on the street to eat, unless they're in a communist hellhole where they eat pigeons and rats like Venezuela.
This isn't a new problem, though. This has been going on for a while, and it's not just Haitians, because last year, in March of 23, 2 Hondurans were arrested for shooting and killing a bald eagle that they were preparing to eat. Yeah. So it's not just, it's the cultures of these third worlds coming in and thinking that they can just do what they did in their countries to go out and get food.
Right.
And they're not being told that this is not what we do here.
Well, and the reason that they're not being told is the same reason why our food bills are so high, our energy bills are so high, we're not getting paid enough, we're having to work harder for less. Destabilization of the population. And it's all about destabilization. That's why the borders were left open. That's why, it's one of the things Trump was trying to build the wall thing. It's this legit. It's like, we have to stop. Look, there are consistent reports of, raping gangs and traffickers coming across the border in Arizona, Texas, and all the, like, we know what's going on in those areas. And part of that problem comes from our own CIA and their destabilization campaigns. But once the issue is this, right? People in our politics who only care about themselves, I will call them narcissistic, that create problems for which there is no solution because they maintain the problems. When you bring a bunch of Central Americans who have been living in hell and been traumatized since birth because they're of all the crazy crime that's going on around them, and you pack them into places like Chicago, and then you tell the Chicagoans that you need to deal with this or you're a bigot. You need to accept this or you're a racist. You know what I mean? There's no actual solution being presented. The problem is being created under the guise of virtue. We're helping to save these people. Now we know that, knowing that that's going to create a problem because there's no training, there's no incorporating them into the culture of the country or area in which they are going into, so that they will create problems, destabilize the community, and create havoc. And then once again, that gives also the people in power the ability to eventually do something that they can that's not going to solve the problem, but appears to be doing so, or is supposed to do so, and pat themselves on the back for it. This is what we're seeing in a microcosm here in Springfield, Ohio. That's exactly what's happening. It's under the guise of helping these poor people.
it's a great example, and it's great that we can get the testimonies of the local population. Though I think, especially in the Western world, we Westerners limit our own capabilities because, you know, we don't know any different in regards to the societies that we have been living in for countless generations. I mean, the people do have an impact. I mean, remember the saying, protect the people at a minute's notice? The idea of the Minutemen, or as I would like to call them, civil defenders, because I like creating my own points. If you had a civil defender on every street corner, folks, that was of the people, by the people, for the people, but from a militaristic perspective, then none of this would be happening. And these fuckers would run to the hills, and they would starve unless they, you know, eat a bear or something, because there won't be any cats, dogs, or ducks to get them. We are seeing the institutions of power failing on every turn. And when that happens, it's up to the people to protect themselves, ideally at a minute's notice, just like your founders did. When the institutions of power failed British America, what did your founders do? They identified the problem and they revolted against it. They nearly paid for it with their lives. It was a very long struggle, but they managed to achieve it. So that's an example. I know it's been a long time since that has happened, but fear is often a good motivator for these savages. If they are afraid, they will run. Why? Because they've already done it. They were afraid and they ran here. So if they can be afraid again, they'll run away, ideally back to where they come from.
But the problem there, Ryan, is, and I believe you, traumatized people who have been through severe situations in their life, throughout their lives, most likely, they do have this inverted fight or flight mechanism. And you're right. Individually, yes, you will create flight. But as a group, which is why we see these mass allowances of migrations into so-called sanctuary cities, is because when you have a group of toxic or traumatized people together, they will go into fight mode.
Yeah, look at Aurora, Colorado.
Right, my brother. Yeah, let's continue on. Let's because we got a lot to cover.
Yeah, you better.
What a
name.
Guys,
There's
before we get into
copyright.
today's video, please like and subscribe. And on this one, I'm going to highly recommend you share it, because a lot of people need to see this firsthand to really understand and recognize what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. We are going to cut right to the chase and start watching our first video. This is a Springfield, Ohio resident trying to complain about what he's witnessing in his city.
I think it's like kind of odd that like a guy like me has to come out from doing what I do on a daily basis to have fun, because I see what's going on in these streets, and I see you guys just sitting up there in them comfy chairs and suits, and I'm getting out here every day and I'm broadcasting this, and you guys are just sitting up there in suits or something. Like, I really challenge you guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into, they flipping cars in the middle of the street. And I don't know how, like, y'all can be comfortable with this. Like, I don't know, like, who's getting paid from it. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to, like, seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants, because it's the people that's bringing them down here. Because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them. Like, y'all get the Highway State Patrol down here every week, and then y'all get like a task force for the Highway State Patrol, and they look for guns and they look for dope and this and that and the fourth. That same people that y'all got riding up and down Limestone doing U-turns, pulling people over for blinkers and pulling people over for like going left to center and like a couple miles over, like, y'all can take them same people, the Highway State Patrol, and you can take them in every single one of their silver Chargers and Dodge Durangos, and y'all can take them to Sunset, and y'all can park them right over there, and y'all can teach people how to drive, since the Highway State Patrol knows so much about traffic laws and know what to do in traffic. They need to, y'all pay them, they can go over there and teach these Haitians how to drive, because it's getting I'm getting thousands of views on these, and it's going to get bigger, and it's only going to get worse. And y'all sitting up there in these chairs, all y'all need to get out here and do something. Y'all making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Y'all need to put on a t-shirt and some Crocs, and then y'all need to come out here in these streets, and y'all need to go out here and I'm out here before the police is. Like, y'all need to do something, bro. Y'all really got to stand on business. Y'all getting paid all this money just to wear a suit and sit in a chair. I think it's crazy, bro. We got to do something, bro. It's kids out here getting hurt. Like, only reason I even went on here and said something about it is because somebody told me they walking from the school and a Haitian almost ran into them. And who is getting paid? Like, how much money is y'all really getting paid, like, to bring them over here? Like, I know it's deeper than them. I know that's where they come from, and that's what they do. That's their country. I don't know what they got going on over there, but they can't do that over here. And if y'all just getting paid from it and then y'all ain't doing nothing about it, I think that's super weird, bro. Y'all got to stand on business. Y'all got to really, like, step up. Like, it's lame, bro. Like, for real.
That's a great point. That gentleman spoke.
Many great points. I mean, many great points he's made. And as long as no one stops these Haitians, they're gonna keep on doing it. If the local government doesn't stop them, they'll keep on doing it. If the local people don't stop them, they'll keep on doing it, which is very true of migrants of all sorts, whether they're from the Caribbean, whether they're from dispossessed places in Africa or in the Middle East. If they can get away with it, they'll do it, because they usually come from lands where taking a life is normal to them. In Haiti's case, to feed themselves, because cannibalism is actually a big thing, or at least was a big thing in Haiti. Maybe they're being civilized by eating cats and dogs and geese. If you tell them, no, you can't do that, well, they may just look at you and say, oh, okay then, you're my next meal. You laugh, but it's coming to a fucking city. If it can happen in Springfield, Ohio, which is the namesake of the fucking Simpsons, it's going to happen in a town or city you live in, because these fuckers will breed like rabbits.
So I also want to, because Mr. Tickle Trunk, our rogue liberal, isn't here, but he did bring up a point in Rogue Chat that was that kind of, it made sense to me. So
Own one in your house, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Put one in your house and keep him there for a year. Then, if he hasn't eaten you, I will say, okay, then let them all come.
Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is, when you're talking about like a different culture, and you might be right, like just going out and getting a goose, might be feeding your family. You use what you have in the land. And there was definitely a time in this country when we were hunting wild animals. Sometimes we still do for sport. And so that is something that is understandable, but still no training, no culture assimilation. You can't just snatch up a duck out of your local park where, mom's walking the kids and cut their freaking head off.
That's the strangest thing about this whole situation, folks. I mean, Stephen just hit the nail on the head. It's like, you can't just do that, bro. And it's like, yes, you can. That's what they're doing. And if you don't stop them, they will keep doing it. That's the whole argument, folks. And if the local government aren't going to do anything about it, then it's going to persist, and it's going to get worse. And it's just like Lord of the Rings. If existing institutions cannot stop this dark force coming to destroy them, well, then it's up to the ordinary people. And the forgotten people. I mean, the forgotten people, the hobbits, great example.
Yeah, well, and does the local government have any power, or are they simply being just dumped on? I wish Tina was here. She could talk about some of these stories relative to this, like from her area in Chicago, around Chicago. Do they have any power, or is the federal government just coming in? And I think he was on point when he said, I don't know how much money you're making off this. Somebody's paid. Everybody gets paid. There's some kind of backdoor deals going on at this point.
This guy's going to get arrested for something. He's going to be black bagged.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And he's not the only one. We're going to see a couple. We're going to look at a couple videos. But like, you could tell, this is a gentleman who just lives his life, does his thing, doesn't go in political circles. He's actually coming to speak to the city council because this is happening around him. This is affecting his neighbors. This is his life. He's
He's like a citizen of Rohan going to King Theoden while Wormtongue is raping his ear. That's what this is like, and it's like, yeah, nothing's gonna happen. The Rohan is gonna be raped and pillaged by all those Uruk-hai because Saruman from his mighty ivory tower is gonna get his way.
Absolutely. Does anybody else want to make a point before we move on?
All the points are made. I'm a cat person, and I'm keeping my cats inside.
Oh, and I'm also the only person on this panel who can be arrested for speaking his mind. Just want to.
And that's insane, right? Right. And it's so insane. And that goes more to the point where you look at a smaller country, first world, like Britannia, and it has gotten to the point where you have dealt with so much immigration, forced immigration, illegal immigration, and also policy changes by the people who run your system that don't care about your liberties.
No.
That you can literally be arrested for saying something that offends the fifis of another person.
At least none of the foreigners we're getting are eating people or animals.
Well, we got to double down. This is America, bro. All right, we got to do it better.
I'm amazed none of these Haitians have been shot dead. I'm actually amazed that hasn't happened yet.
I mean,
and the media, if that happened, would go on a big Ferrari. Oh, racist attack, racist,
and that's brother. You're on point. That is the point, though, to destabilize the area to the point where a reaction like that takes place. They can
I would
create
not be
martial law.
surprised.
They can stake more power.
I would not be surprised, Stephen, if we see a headline sometime in the future. Why Haitians are eating your kids and why it's a good thing.
Right.
By Jenner Goldberg or something at the New York Times. I don't know. It's always them for some reason.
Giving out books at California elementary schools. How to eat your neighbor with your friend. Yeah. Get it. All right, let's go.
Who is experiencing this aggressive behavior from the Haitian migrants in her front yard.
And I'm done with what I'm seeing. It is so unsafe in my neighborhood anymore. I have the homeless that were trying to camp out, and I have made concessions with them, and I try to help them the best I can to keep them from trying to squat on my property. But it is so unsafe. I have men that cannot speak English in my front yard screaming at me, throwing mattresses in my front yard, throwing trash in my front yard. And I can't. Look at me, I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't defend myself if I had to. My husband is elderly. And last night, after living in this home for 45 years, he said, Noelle, guess what? It's time to pack up and move. He said, we can't do this anymore. He said, it's killing both of us mentally. I don't understand what you expect of us as citizens. I mean, I understand they're here under temporary protected status and you're protecting them. And I understand that our city services are overwhelmed and understaffed. But who's protecting us? If we're protecting them, who's protecting me? I want out of this town. I am sorry. Please give me a reason to stay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
their
right
silence. Well, their silence should be their answer. I'm sorry, Stephen. Please.
No, brother, you're right. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know if we could hear their response, but their silence would be telling. I mean, the worst part about our establishment is they don't even have the fucking courage to just sit there and tell you, this is what we're doing, this is what has been ordered, you will follow it. They don't even have the fucking balls to say that. They either stay quiet or they give you an empty platitude, and then in a few days' time, your fucking home gets your front door gets kicked in, and you both get black bagged.
Yeah, and again, it's like there's the reason to create destabilization, create the problem with no solution, destabilize the population, have them fight back, create martial law, and then you're right, the flying monkeys for these fucking psychos and narcissists that run our institutions are going to say, look at these bigots, look at these horrible, intolerant people that couldn't accept these poor others, into their community and began to shoot them or whatever the case is. And again, the government gets to take more power from you, further devalue its own population, and get paid for it, and look good within their own circles. It is a complete disassociation from reality when you look at the realm of politics to us, to we the people. There is no correlation. We're living in two different worlds.
Oh yeah, this is very similar to how British America evolved into the United States. When you have a tyranny, whether it's a monarch or a parliament, who do not represent the will of the people, who do not feel or believe, rather, that their concerns are being addressed by the monarch or by the parliament, then, of course, that breeds resentment and that breeds uprisings. And despite the fact that the United States is the most powerful military force on planet Earth, I know Americans are armed to the teeth, but at the end of the day, you are dealing with an institution that could destroy the entire world by pressing a button. So how do you remove these institutions of power when they can say, shit, man, we got the bunkers. A draw's better than a loss. Press the red button. You're all dead, and I'll live for a few years in a bunker.
And I don't know if you guys still believe in the integrity of elections. I certainly had my doubts before 2000 or 2020, but I definitely do after 2020.
2000, you bring up a great year there, 2000, with that whole court decision.
Yes, sir. You look at the only answer is revolution at this point, I think. And calm down, YouTube. I'm not calling for revolution. I'm just saying that
I think it starts at the cultural. It starts at the cultural level, Stephen, and we are seeing that. And I think when fuckers like Star Wars Explain try to demonetize and deplatform pop culture content creators, and YouTube basically saying no, they haven't broken any of our rules, that's actually a very positive sign of where the wind is going culturally in the West. We are experiencing a cultural revolution in which content creators are helping to make pop culture great again. The establishment, as always, have underestimated the nature and the power of popular culture, and that's where the momentum will shift first, then into the political realm.
Yes, my brother, thank you. And just saying that just takes me back to author Stephen Walton, year one. The entire reason that YouTubers started to, like myself, make content was because we saw the change in our entertainments, which were being used as platforms to espouse racist, divisive, hate-filled rhetoric, disinformations. And then when we had something to say about it, the narcissists in Disney and in Hollywood began a smear campaign of "you're bigots." It's because you're a bigot. It's because you're a racist. It's because you're a this and a that. And that is, we have come like full circle again to a point. I have my own thoughts on that. That's a whole other topic. But that's where we have come to a point where there's so much calling out has been done, so much fighting in the entertainment realm to bring back our culture or identify the problems in our culture have been done by people like Nerdrotic, Brian Cannell, Jeremy Griggs, and many others. That now the victimhood status is coming up. Now they're really victims. The people who have been shilling for these narcs have been smear campaigning and gaslighting the population, telling anybody who will listen that this toxic segment of the Star Wars fandom, which was the Star Wars fandom, that fought against this shit, they're the problem. They're the others. They're the issue. And it's a constant cycle of bullshit. Disassociative, delusional, grandiose-filled bullshit that comes from these types. This is why it's the same cycle it's the same cycle that is happening with this illegal immigrant issue that we have right now. The same thing.
Yeah, that's why our opposition, whether it's in politics, popular culture, or in narcissistic awareness, they all use the same tactics. Narrative control, when that fails. Damage control.
Exactly.
Building the fog of the culture war for the empire of lies to flourish, ensuring that the normies have the bubble around them so that they cannot see with their own eyes the kind of world that actually is. And social media is a great way of bursting that bubble. but at some point something has got to give. If foreigners eating your pets isn't that point, then maybe them eating your children is that point. Yeah, them going into nurseries and eating your kids. Maybe that's the point in which people snap. I don't know.
First off, Ryan, I'm absolutely having you on Dragonstorm for an interview because everything you just said is the narcissistic abuse cycle.
Oh my!
That's exactly what it is, and it's because of cognitive fog, dude. It's when you gaslight, when you
gaslight to oblivion. That's another tactic.
Right. Gaslight them into oblivion. When you do that, you create a cognitive fog. You create a conditioning within the target of your abuse or misinformation that literally creates a system of thinking in them that will be triggered by any of the words you've continuously used and built, like busted into their head. That when they encounter a situation, it's why they take the terms like racist and sexist that have completely fucking devalued them from the original value that they had, the terminology, what those terminologies meant. Because now when you have like a far leftist and they hear racist or sexist or patriarchy or any of these words, it automatically enacts a script that they have been conditioned to believe because of constant indoctrination, constant gaslighting.
Then they become an agent of the system, to use a matrix. That's why you can never have a Morpheus or a Trinity going to a Neo, because as soon as they hear those words, those points, then Neo becomes an agent and then fights.
Exactly, brother. And just 1 minute of Dragonstorm here. Think about that on a relationship or family dynamic level, that personal level of gaslighting a family member or a person you're in a relationship with to that point, while also lying to the people around them because the abuser is actually the victim, to the point where if the abused speaks up or speaks out, then the conditioning around that person socially in the family dynamic has already been to the point where as soon as they start reacting, they are the actual problem. The abused person is the problem. Because, when you're speaking out after an abusive situation, you're a little wreck. Your emotions are fucked up. You're messed up in the head. And that is something that narcissists depend on a personal level. Now, going back to author Stephen Walton, this is why we get gaslit by our media. Because when you have segments of the population who actually, who absorb and digest this misinformation and propaganda daily from whatever source it is, as soon as you hear one of those trigger words, as soon as someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm not this person that this institution is saying I am, I have these points, you can make all the logical points you want. That conditioning in that person is going to see, their perception is going to be that you're lying. And that you're actually the problem, and you're everything that lying institution said.
You can't talk Agent Smith out of killing you, ladies and gentlemen, to use a Matrix reference. And to bring it back into the recent passing of James Earl Jones, I mean, one of the characters he played, Thulsa Doom, I mean, the riddle of steel.
Yeah.
Steel isn't strong, boy. Flesh is stronger. What is steel without the hand that wields it? And it just goes to show that while the steel that institutional power has within the empire of lies, the flesh to stand against it, the will of the people to stand against that steel is stronger. Yes, that steel will cut down a few people along the way, but in the end, the will of the people will triumph and flesh will be stronger than the steel that is wielded against it.
Which is why it's so important for us to have these conversations and to deliberate and to bounce logic. Definitely check your logic off of others. And one thing that I have learned that has been very helpful for myself and viewing other people is history of actions. What is said as opposed to what is being done. And that will help you through a lot of like discerning a liar or discerning someone.
What we're doing is the foundation for what I like to call the 3 steps of victory, or to victory rather. Highlight the problem, find the solution, be the change you want to see.
Yes.
Content creation is a great example of this, because you can't exactly be the change you want to see unless you establish yourself and make a name for yourself, which you usually do through highlighting the problem and finding the solution. The Rippaverse, for all of the controversies surrounding it, is the clearest and most concise example of the 3 steps to victory, in which a problem has been highlighted in an industry, solutions have been discussed back and forth, and Eric July has done his best to be the change that he wants to see, and the Rippaverse is an example of that. Plenty of people think that's a good thing. Plenty of people think it's a bad thing, but it's a great example of those 3 steps. And if he can do it, then I think everyone else can who's a content creator too, in their own way. I try my best with reality-based, and Walton tries his best with Dragonstorm.
And if I may offer, and you guys can take this advice if you would like to or not, because I have had certain dealings with some of these people. When you look at someone like Eric July, and Ryan is dead on with what he said. Not a perfect guy, but changes, then corrects his mistakes, tries to do the best that he can. And the opposite of that is I'm going to say it, Comicsgate, which has been run by a narcissistic personality, which continues the problem. It presents a problem under the guise of a solution while maintaining the problem in order to stir controversy and keep drama and negative fuel going. So instead of breaking away from the traditional industry and the problems there, they created another makeup of the same kind under the guise of being the change and being better. But we see where that has led. It has helped some, and I won't dispute that, but the mainstay of it has been harassment campaigns, devaluation campaigns, doxing, stalking, very narcissistic, psychopathic behavior. And you look at the difference between those two. Look at the success that has happened for Eric July because of the actions that he has taken, good and bad. And then take a look at Comicsgate and look at EVS and what has happened, the actions he has done, both good and bad. And then come to your own assessment as to what is reality, what is the more healthy way to go and to produce and to help yourself. Because
Absolutely.
So and I'm gonna leave it there. Let's go to I think this is the last one we're going to show.
Well, unfortunately, I've got to head off. Unfortunately.
Oh, okay, all right. So
because we have hit the close to the 90-minute mark, so I'll write that down. Because I do take timestamps. I really like.
I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you sharing all the clips, man. Thank you.
Oh yes. I mean, it's a win-win. I have videos, and you get the publicity you desperately deserve, my good man. Always a pleasure to be on this show. Always a pleasure to speak to Stephen, Deej, and Tony. These two have been a little quiet, a bit too quiet for
They're both
Americans.
not feeling well.
Well, I'm wore out. I'm here.
You two just
going to be here.
You two sucked all the conversation out. We had nothing left to say, so we just sit here and look pretty.
Well, at least I'll still be here in 30 years. If you haven't already checked out the channel, check out Reality Based. I'm the host and founder of it. Ryan Rogerath, link is in the description down below. I'm off to Saturday Night Hypnosis now, hosted by Hypnotic. And our special guest is Endy Mion TV, which is one hell of a difficult name to pronounce. So expect plenty more videos, plenty more shows. Tomorrow we're going to have a panel show on reality-based extreme, and our special guest, hopefully she doesn't forget this time, is Aiden Paladin, a wonderful woman and a prominent creator to boot. So thank you for having me, Stephen. Hopefully you'll be back next week.
You'll be back next week.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not. I'm good. I'm good. I promise.
Well, until next time. Well, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, and no other groups, especially not those Haitian cannibal bastards. Bye for now.
Later, Ryan. All right. Let's watch this last one. We'll talk about this, and then we'll end it. Here we go.
Other residents are talking about how they simply do not recognize the city that they live in anymore.
I was out and about yesterday, driving around Springfield. I was looking at the giant holes in some of our buildings. I noticed all of the old familiar spots bearing new signs in an unfamiliar language. I watched as groups of strangers walked around the city like lost tourists, and it was like a punch in the gut. A terrible sadness came over me, and I began to cry. I immediately started to think back to when I was little, walking from my grandma's house on South Fountain through downtown and all the way to Snyder Park, going to Wren's to get new school clothes and shoes, the excitement of the mall for lunch at the Blue Fox, or even better to see Santa riding.
Oh God! Don't fight Santa. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on.
Way to go! You broke it.
I did, and she was talking real. Oh, geez. All right, let me reset it. 9 minutes.
Broke it.
Anyway, I did. I broke it, did it?
Today we're going to be talking about Springfield, Ohio, and you might not.
All right, let's.
I was looking at the giant holes, the old familiar spot. Was the excitement of the mall for lunch at the Blue Fox.
Yeah, you broke it
Or
again.
even better to see Santa riding down High Street, admiring the beauty of those stately homes and their amazing architecture, dropping pennies in the fountain and making wishes. And now all those warm memories are becoming fuel to the fire of anger inside of me. I feel like we have been invaded by some sort of pest. I'm angry that my friends and family are packing up and moving away. I'm angry that foreigners are using up the resources that were set up for the Americans that reside here. I'm angry that another country's flag was being flown in our city. I'm angry when I see our businesses and recreational areas littered with garbage left by people that do not know or understand our laws and culture and are making no attempt to learn about them. And let me be clear, this is not about race. This is about people being given the privilege of coming here from another country and having no respect for our people, our land, or our life's work. People living their life here the way they did in Haiti, angry, stealing, polluting, living in filth, and acting like animals. These are not civilized people. Opening containers in our grocery stores, helping themselves to what's inside and throwing the rest onto the shelves and floors. Pulling off of the highway to publicly clean and gut the roadkill lying there in front of anyone that passes by. Stealing animals from farmers and leaving their severed heads at the side of an old school where children play. Relieving themselves in public. Making some barbaric stew out of the birds that live in our park. This is insanity, and it has to stop. What will become of Springfield? Where will we be in 5 years? The thought terrifies me. Will it be some sort of dystopian wasteland with most of our original residents having moved away and those that cannot afford to move being locked inside their homes, living in fear? This thought is keeping me awake at night. I just want the old Springfield back. I know it was far from perfect, but at least it was still ours. Thank you.
I feel bad. You know, like I feel bad for these people, and I understand their pain. And she was channeling Ryan Roger there a little bit.
I think so.
The terms that she was using, because on the one hand, I look at it and I think to myself, these are people who have been through traumatizing situations, the same as people from Central America, like any of these migrants that are coming, whether looking for a better life or they are coming here to just spread misery. All of them are dealing with traumatic lifetime situations. These are unhealed people. And I feel bad for them on that level. At the same time, they're not being given or guided the education or the mental health resources required to help them assimilate into a culture, another culture, which is a difficult thing to do in and of itself for anyone if you're like on top of your game, and you are a healed or healing individual. On that aspect, I feel bad for them. But like I said before, this is our government, the United States government, under the guise of doing something good, trying to destabilize an area. They're not doing something good. This is not healthy. This is for anyone, and it's not helpful in any way. And it's destroying neighborhoods. And we're not talking about something like white flight, which is a whole other topic. But we're not talking about something like that. This another type of American culture or subculture coming into an area and changing it. This is a completely different foreign culture that is third world, second world, that has lived in barbarism. That's why they are barbaric, because they have grown up in barbarism, in terrible life and death situations, trying to survive year after year. Seeing people get murdered, seeing people get raped, seeing people like the trafficking, seeing all that like firsthand. I mean, we have that in this country as well, and it shouldn't happen anywhere, but this is the reality of their existence. And now they are in basically another world. You just put them in an entirely different planet, almost. And as far as the culture and having to assimilate into that with no assistance, this is a failure of our government. It is not a failure of any local people. It is not a failure of the citizens. And in a way, it is not a failure of the individuals who are brought here. It's a complete breakdown and failure of our government to protect everyone under the guise of helping. And it's false virtue to me, Deej.
Well, back when, trying to figure out how to say this, but when people wanted to immigrate to this country, they had the set things they had to do. They actually had to go learn English. They had to learn American history. But now you've got all these basically illegals or ones that certain segments of the government think they need to rescue. They're just bringing them in, throwing them out, say, here, do what you want. They're not giving them any direction. They're not. I'll guarantee bringing them in, they've not been told anything about laws or anything else. They expect them to try to figure it out on their own. And then if you sit there and try to correct them on the laws, then you get yelled at because you're denigrating and you're going after poor immigrants that don't know any better. Well, you got to go after them and tell them what the hell they're doing wrong in order for them to assimilate. But one segment of the political party doesn't really care if they assimilate anymore. We've seen it time and time again over the last 10, 20 years. They just throw them in little communities all together and let them do what they want in their little communities, and they don't give a shit.
No, they don't. And so the way that I look at it when it comes to politics, like I don't trust the whole bag. And when it comes to, with very few exceptions, there's few politicians I believe in, like Tulsi Gabbard. I don't really look at political lines because this has been a problem for so long. I think it's crossbred. I think that at one point, as far as American history, there was a time when things changed. When I think we had a designated for the people and against the people kind of groups. But this is a total. Where are the heroes of the Republicans making a difference for this? Where are they? There's a silence. It seems like that whenever
some of them try to go out and speak, but they're slammed so much over and over by the press for being racist and everything else, or they're just not covered anymore because they don't want you to see that there's actual opposition.
See, and that is also a narcissist tactic, the narcissistic abuse cycle, which is, shame the victim, shame the person that's speaking out against the narrative that is being presented, the false narrative. I get that, and thank you for sharing that with me, Deej. I didn't add that into the equation. I think that is necessary. For me, it is, but it's a failure of the entire system. Because I think I have seen from what I have seen, there are situations where you have one or the other doing something grossly irresponsible and detrimental to the fabric of our nation or the prosperity of it, and the other side just kind of sits silent. They don't really say anything because they're also getting paid by the same backers through other backers.
If you actually sat down and watched videos that's actually coming out of Congress when they're doing the hearings, you'll see they're not sitting there silent. It's just you got the media that's so in charge of things, they're not going to let the regular people see it unless you specifically go digging to find it.
And you're right. You're absolutely You're the propagation of misinformation and propaganda. That's what I said. Like the media is like a bunch of flying monkeys. That's what they are. Long gone are the days of the unbiased news reporter. It's rare and far and few between, and you usually have to go to independent sources. And even then, it's hard to find them.
All you got to do is go back to this last debate. You'll see how the media is nothing but propaganda anymore. They went after Trump, fact check after fact check after fact check, and they let Kamala lie her ass off with things that have been disproven over and over, but they just sat there silent, letting her spew it. So people watching it still think that it's reality when it's not.
Yeah, brother. Yes, sir. And so when Ryan presents an answer to this problem, he says, change the culture, be the change, lead by example, which is excellent. Change the culture and then help to open people's minds to alternative ways of thinking or what the reality of the situation is. Like, what do you agree with that?
Well, yeah, but you also have to get out there, and if you're hearing all these misinformation and shit, get the videos, get the proof that says that it's wrong, and take it out and show the people yourself. Because, let's be fair, a lot of people are too damn lazy to look shit up themselves. They expect everybody else to do it for them.
Right.
B, some people are just too damn stupid to even understand what reality is. And they'll take that little sound bite that somebody made that twisted something and left everything out that was more important to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they believe that. You have to actually show them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and even then, you're still, like I said, like I was talking about before, you're still dealing with the conditioning from the media and from, wherever you take in your information.
I mean, come on, look at. I'll even go back to this last debate again. Everybody says Kamala won the debate.
Really?
But if you sit there and actually watch some of these focal groups of independent people, over and over, the majority go towards Trump.
I think that any reasonable person would, and like I said before, I am a Trump supporter. I am not a Trump supporter because I am a Republican. I'm not. I am a Trump supporter because he, to my discernment, is outside of the traditional system that is not working and has been breaking down and taking our civil liberties and driving prices up and allowing things like this illegal immigration and mass immigration. He's outside of that system. And that's what I need to see. That's the change I need to see. Somebody who's not been conditioned over decades, been in that culture of poison in our government. I honestly believe that anybody who's awake to the facts, like if guys, vote how you're going to vote. I don't care how you vote. That is your right to vote and support how you want to support and see things. And I'll never budge from that. What I'm saying is, if you can put aside your political fervency and just take a step back and look at the scope of the last 10 years and the actions that have taken place. Like, you can just look at the major events that have happened and see where we have been going, what has been done, what the reactions have been to certain situations. And you will see a person who, for whatever faults that Donald Trump may have, he could be full of ego. He could be, any number of things that, a megalomania or any number of those things.
Some leaders rely on their ego to be a demagogue.
Right. But if your virtues are in the right place, you also need something like that to stand up to psychos, the psychopathic people, which are the types that are running our governments. You need to have that because all of the gaslighting, the smear campaigns, the attacks on his character, the attacks on his family, the justifications of that. Like, remember when they were coming after his youngest boy, and the far lefties and the lefties are out there. They were just like, oh, he deserves it. It's okay. It was only okay because Orange Man bad. It was only okay because Donald Trump is this big monster that you've built up in your head, regardless of whatever the actual facts are. Or, that it's okay to attack this young child because, and that, that's the conditioning at work. That's the issue. You cannot like the guy for whatever reasons, but from what I've seen, and also like the self-education, the therapy, the life coaching, all the stuff that I've been through, understanding myself, and that I had unhealed traumas in me that were left unresolved for so long, that if I were to be emotionally triggered by something that was planted from a long time ago, I could shift my own perception in such a way that I was seeing things differently than everyone else to justify my fear and pain and hiding from that. Like those things happen to all of us at some point in our lives. All right, we all project, but the projection is so deep from the media gaslighting that people get to a point where it's okay to not like this guy or not believe anything that he's saying or not take that extra step, like Deidre's saying, to research what exactly is going on. It's because you've been so conditioned that whatever he's saying, Orange Man bad. This person is bad. This person is just evil. Like there's no middle ground. And that is a black and white thinking that is so very dangerous and is key to a lot of toxic behaviors. And we see that in the responses from people who have been digesting mainstream media and the propagandists and all of those, the campaigns and lies that they tell, without stepping back, removing your emotions as much as you can from a situation, your fervency for whatever it is you stand for and believe. Like just stepping back and observing the situation from a really at the most third point view you can, and discerning what is actually what. Because I guarantee you, if anybody out there listening to this has that ability, all right, if you have that ability, look at the mainstay of events that have happened since 2016 to now, and you will see a dude who has been mercilessly smeared, attacked. You will see a world system that went into shock because someone outside of the planned rhythm got into power and screwed up all of their evil, fucking dastardly, mustache twirling plans globally. It's all right. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the pictures of the bodies piled in the streets from an epidemic that supposedly happened. I'm still waiting for those. I haven't seen those. Like, what links will the people in power go to stay in power and keep you confused and divided and hating one another and fighting over trivial things? What links will they go to?
We've seen the links. They've resorted to lawfare to try to keep him out with crap that nobody else would ever be charged with.
Yeah. Anything matters. And to people who, but it depends on the conditioning. First off, you're backed up by a smear campaign run by the media and anything connected to it. And you're also dealing with the previous conditioning to anyone who will see through the lens when they hear a triggering word, and they shift into that conditioned perspective, whether it was done by self or by what they have ingested, and then they shift into that frame, and it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter what
Pavlovian.
Evidence. Thank you, sir. Yeah,
it's Pavlovian. It really is.
And
Pavlov's dog.
Explain that, if you would, for anyone listening, Tony.
Pavlov's dogs. He psychologically trained his puppies to drool at the sound of ringing a bell, because every time that he would ring a bell, he would then feed them. So as you create an environment for the example, the people that are being misled and outright programmed as a result, it's Pavlovian. They're only reacting to an environment that has been cultured and catered to them through repetition.
Yes, sir. And that is what, thank you very much, Tony, is what some of us, like myself, I think Sporking could agree with this. I think he went through some of this himself. Neurotic certainly did. That is what happens when you are in a culture, a home environment, your early life, when you are trying to figure out or being taught what the world is, and depending on people to lead you as examples and how to be and what to look for, when they're toxic. And then they leave damage inside of you that, if not resolved, if not healed, if not confronted at some point in adolescence or beyond, will leave you conditioned to see things a certain way that is skewed, that is not reality, whenever you encounter anything that triggers that deep wound. Like, that's just the reality of it. And what I see, guys, is I see a nation of people that for generations, I'd say decades, maybe generations now, have been wounded over and over again by being sold lies and told that they were the truth. By our institutions.
We've been kicked down a lot recently. We really have. From the inside, not from the outside.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down.
Keep you down. All right. All right. Well, let's round this out. We're getting to the second hour. Tony, tell everybody where they can find you and your awesome live streams, my friend.
Let's see here. Let me get a link. Right quick. That's how tired I am because I've been working.
Well, here you work on that, and then I'm going to give Deej his outro. And then
there you go.
I'm Deej, and you'll find me out in a cornfield near you soon. Well, actually, Tuesday. You'll find me in a cornfield. Yeah, that's where I'll be. That's about it. Till the end of picking
That's all you
season.
got?
Until the end of picking season, I can't quite do anything. You get some farm life videos, but that's it. That's all you're going to get out of me.
All right, Picker. All right. Well, thank you, Deej. Appreciate you being here, brother. I know you're not feeling well, and I thank you for trudging through it. And being
I feel perfectly fine as long as I don't move.
all right.
Then,
All right. So,
then the back yells and screams, and they're talking about the surgery finally again, but they got to send me to therapy first.
yeah, they got to make it worse before they fix it. Yeah, I get it.
Yep.
God, I love you, brother. Thank you so much. Next up is Stark of Iron.
And I've already posted it. Sorry for not being the life of the party. I know that's kind of like a gimmick of mine. But I have been doing shows for 7 days in a row. I'm actually thinking about taking a nap when I get done here. Thank you guys so much for getting me to 1072. The goal for Stark Week was 1100, but I still consider it a dub. If you like variety entertainment, if you like, music, parody songs, impersonations, comedic skits, I do all of that. And I do it right after the master does it. So it keeps the party going for those of you that can't sleep. That looks like a nice space heater.
And remember, if you give him the 1200 before the end of next week, Walton will give him a reach around.
No, not a spiritual one.
Astral reach around.
That's an arc reactor, though, DJ Ronnie G. And there's my little adopted son up there watching over my head. I'm got into some set building. I'm just expanding my jurisdiction, like with what I can do. There's been so many people that have inspired me to do it, and I'm going to keep doing it. And so I expect some more
Tony,
videos very soon. Videos are coming. Reviews.
Tony,
Yes?
just be happy that he's going to give you an astral reach around. He wanted to bleach my butthole, so hey.
That's still on the tape. That's still on the table.
You know what? You know what? 3 words. Fruit Loop Volcano.
Oh wow! I'm actually I got a little tingle.
And Steven is the bold.
I got a little bit of a tingle there, Stark. Thank you.
You're the bold.
Thank you everybody who showed up, whether you're watching this now or later. Please make sure to hit that like button or dislike if you hate me. That's awesome. Anything helps the algorithm. And leave a comment if you would after the stream. Please remember to support the people that you love watching on YouTube. I think right now Sporking podcast is having a stream, so if you guys could send a Walton raid over there, that'd be great. And check him out. And also remember that there are a lot of different people in this YouTube sphere, and it's ever expanding. And you will, from time to time, maybe run into someone who doesn't like someone else. Make sure to make the judgment or assessment of a person based on your experiences with them, and also never shy away from working with anyone just because someone else doesn't like them. We all different strokes for different folks, and we all come from different backgrounds, and sometimes people have fights, and sometimes that's due to a misinterpretation that was beyond anybody's ability to heal. But that does not mean that a person is totally bad or totally good. We're all creatures together on this, in this social media world and on this earth. So make sure, please, to do whatever it is that's best for you, for your growth, and make discernments based on your history of actions with someone else and not anything anyone else says. I am author Stephen Walton, the Fandom Menace historian, your historian, born in the chats of the High Council with my brothers and sisters fighting for our modern mythologies. Please remember to wash your hands, wash your ass, be good to each other, yet suffer no fools. Peace. No.
No, go past this. Past this part. In fact, never play this again.
And clean your